The opinions expressed on this SDHydroponics.com program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers and do not reflect those of the staff, management, or advertisers of SDHydroponics.com. Any rebroadcast or retransmission of this program without the express written consent of SDHydroponics.com is prohibited. Welcome to the San Diego Hydroponics and Organics Ask a Grower podcast, your introductory course for indoor gardening. Prepare to reap larger yields, grow better fruits, and have your questions answered by our experts. So sit back and relax, ladybugs. You're now tuned into the latest buzz from the soil and hydroponics industry. Harvested exclusively for you at San Diego Hydroponics and Organics, SDHydroponics.com. Welcome back, folks. We're here with Ed Rosenthal of Zero Tolerance. You may have heard the name. Legend in our industry. Everybody who you talk to in our hydroponic stores knows the name Ed Rosenthal. Dealing with pests, dealing with molds, fungus. Why don't you tell us a little bit, Ed, about Zero Tolerance?
I developed Zero Tolerance because one of my clients had a problem with intractable mites, and he asked me to come up with something that would take care of them. And so I developed this pesticide, and basically it's made from cinnamon, clove, rosemary, and thyme oils, and then it has some lecithin and vegetable glycerin in it, and it's totally safe to use around the home, around pets. It's not harmful to humans or pets, but as compared with mites, which it's a mite destroyer, and it also goes after almost every insect. And the reason for that is that this combination of ingredients works three different ways. First, it attacks the chitin, which is the substance of the exoskeleton of the insect or of the mite. And then the second thing, it goes after the nerve cells, and then it eats away at the tissue. So between those three things, insects have a hard time getting away from it. And it's hard to believe, but this insecticide has been in development for about 100 million years. It sounds ridiculous, right? But the reality is that plants have used chemical warfare to ward off parasites, pests, and diseases for all that time. So over all those years, they've developed these very effective methods and very effective chemistry, and that's what we're using here, which is the plant chemistry that plants have been developing for 100 million years.
Now, is that just for the mite product or your other product as well?
Well, the same goes for our product, which is a fungicide. And the fungicide, plants have always had problems with fungicides. But if you notice, some plants don't ever seem to get funguses. Certain plants, such as oregano, and we don't have it around here, but clove and other and rosemary. And so we use the oils from those plants, which are not only resistant to fungus, but also kill the fungus. And then we added potassium bicarbonate, and potassium bicarbonate changes the pH of the at the surface of the leaf, so it makes it hard for funguses to germinate with a alkaline pH.
Can you talk to us about how to apply both the products?
Yes. Well, first of all, before you apply any pesticide or fungicide, whether it's this brand or any brand, you should always test to make sure that it doesn't hurt the plant. And usually, if you see some plant burn, what you want to do is dilute it a little bit. And then with both the pesticide and the fungicide, what you want to do is spray the plant thoroughly. And the main part of the plant that you want to spray is the underside of the leaves, for instance, for mites, because that's where they hang out. So you want to get a wand sprayer so that you can spray, have the spray going upward. And another way that you could do it is to turn a plant sideways, and then it's much easier to get to the leaves. So you spray the plant, and what's going to happen is that the mites are going to die, but there are still eggs left. And so if you spray a second time about 3 days later, you're going to get all those eggs, all the hatchlings from those eggs. And then if you do it another 3 days later, then any residue mites or that might have germinated after you sprayed the second one will also be killed, and you should be pretty mite free.
So about 3 applications to do it?
That's right.
And for the fungicide?
The fungicide, it depends what you're going for, but usually once you spray the fungicide on a plant, the parts of the plant that were sprayed are fine, but then you have new growth every week. There's plenty of new growth, so you want to spray the new growth so that it also becomes resistant.
Does Zero Tolerance have any new products coming out?
We have some products that are just about to come out, and they all deal with the concentrates of of both the pesticide and the fungicide. We've had the concentrate of the pesticide in a quart, and that quart makes 5 gallons, 20 quarts. But now what we've done is a lot of people don't want to use that much and have that much hanging around. So we have the 2.5, a pint container that makes 2.5 gallons. And we're also coming out with the quart and the pint fungicides, and they should be out by June of this year. So we're looking forward to that. And these are a win-win-win situation. It's a win for the environment, first of all, because we're not shipping water. And it's crazy to spend all that energy to ship water, right? And then the second thing is that it's a win for the consumer, because since it's a concentrate, we can give the consumer a lot more product for just a little bit more money, and then it's a win for the store and for us too, because we're producing a better product and selling a better product.
With the concentrate or even the bottles, can you overuse Zero Tolerance? Can you burn your plants or restriction?
You definitely can burn your plants with it. First of all, you shouldn't use it every day. You should wait a few days between using it. And you should be sensitive to your plants. If your plants seem to have any kind of negativity from it, any kind of leaf burn, then what you want to do is dilute it a little bit. Try diluting it by 25%, which would mean if you're making a gallon, you'd make a gallon and 1 quart, 5 quarts. And it will still be extremely effective, but we don't want you to hurt your plants. And also, any kind of plants that are purple, that have purple on them, they seem to be more sensitive. It crosses species, but they seem to be more sensitive to this than plants that remain green. So you want to dilute it a little bit for those plants also. But the other thing to do is to make sure that you're getting the pesticide where it's needed. For instance, if you're dealing with mites, you want to spray the undersides. But if let's say you have a fungus and you're using the fungicide, that's going to be on the top of the leaves. So you want to make sure to get the tops of the leaves.
Can you use these for prevention as well?
You can use the fungicide, especially for prevention. And if you're using it for prevention, I would dilute it up to 50%, and it will still be very effective. Then I think that we haven't tried this in controlled trials, but anecdotally, people have used used the pesticide in a fogger and diluted it in a fogger, and they just didn't have pest problems for the whole crop. And they were using it about 1/5 of the usual rate, so it didn't clog up the fogger at all.
How close can you use Zero Tolerance up until your harvest? Up to the very end, or?
You can use the pesticide up to about 5 days before harvest, but The clove oil and the fungicide is a little more residual, so I wouldn't use it for about 3 weeks before harvest.
Well, once your bottle's open, how long can you keep zero tolerance?
Zero tolerance can be kept almost indefinitely. It shouldn't break down. We say that 1 to 2 years, but if you keep it in a cool place, in a cool, dark place, it should remain active for a long time.
Can zero tolerance be used in soil and hydroponic systems?
Yes, it can. For instance, let's say you had root aphids. You could use it in a soil system, and that's very, very easy to use. We recommend using it at 50% of full strength. And then in a hydro system, you would use it right after, for instance, in a drip system, right after the drip ended. And then it would have several hours to do its work before the next drip. And in a recirculating system, it can go into the water. But you want to try to get it into the planting medium first before it goes into the water, so it's a little more concentrated than after it hits the water.
That makes sense. What pests does zero tolerance target specifically? All of them? Just some of them?
It targets all insects because all of them are built with chitin for their bone structure, for their exoskeleton. And it also goes after arthropods in general, and that would include spiders and spider mites, anything dealing with that class of animal.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the ingredients? Is zero tolerance organic?
We're going for OMRI certification, and zero tolerance is made out of 7 ingredients, and those are cinnamon oil, clove oil, rosemary oil, thyme oil, lecithin, and vegetable glycerin. And so all of those will be certifiable. The other part about it is that these ingredients have been pre-approved by the EPA, and they're considered so safe that insecticides that are made with these ingredients, and only these ingredients, do not have to be registered. So we're what's called FIFRA exempt, and we're suitable for all vegetables. And it's so effective because nature spent 100 million years perfecting it.
Can one drink zero tolerance, Ed?
Well, you would get sick if you drank it straight, because it's very concentrated oils. These are oils that you would normally use in a much, much more diluted fashion. But let's say somebody put it in a soup. You could have the soup because it's all food grade ingredients. These are ingredients that are used in foods, but being so concentrated, you wouldn't want to do that.
Obviously, this is a big market in our industry, pesticides, fungicides. Why is zero tolerance superior?
Zero tolerance is superior. Well, first of all, there are a lot of choices, and many of them work. So people have to decide what they want to use. When you're using something like neem oil, it tends to leave residue, and so I don't think that most people want that. And then I have this idea for myself that I don't like to use or ingest anything that I can't pronounce the name of. So I feel safer with nature's chemistry than human chemistry, and so there's a good reason for that. And then the other thing is that this is extremely effective, and it was perfected by nature. These are some plants that have found extraordinary ways of keeping insects and other pests at bay, and so we're just using what nature perfected.
Thanks for talking with us today, Ed. Ed Rosenthal, ladies and gentlemen, z-tolerance.com or edrosenthal.com. Truly a privilege. Thank you so much for coming and sharing some information with us today. Folks, if you have any other questions for Ed or Zero Tolerance, feel free to submit them to sdhydroponics.com/askagrower. Until next time.
This Ask Grower podcast is brought to you by San Diego Hydroponics and Organics. If you have any further questions, please submit them to sdhydroponics.com/askagrower. Thank you for listening.